This is Common Courtesy, a conversation on modern society from an LGBTQ plus perspective. A talk show for working LGBTQ plus individuals and allies who are active in their own communities and who also wish to stay woke about what's happening in today's world. With your host, Sean Nicholas. I'm still sour for not winning this little acting award in high school. I'm still sour. Angelique Young.
I can't do the caged bird thing. It's not on my thing. I'm literally, my symbol is a freaking hat.
And Ivan Alexander.
Oh, I need to change this. No, you can't change this. Okay? Before Gaga, I was born this way. Okay?
This is Common Courtesy.
That was doomed from the start.
Bulging and shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Around Sue's or whatever, and
No, that was me.
But that's our stereo.
So, let's start the conversation. Hey guys, and welcome back to the show. This is a Common Courtesy, a conversation on a modern society from an LGBTQ plus perspective. I am your host and moderator, Sean Nicholas, aka Desire Some More. And here with me, I have my lovely and awesome co-host. First up, I have a nightclub performer and our relationship guru. We have Angelique
Hey, what's
Young.
up? Hello. Excited to be back.
Up next, we have radio personality and our favorite comedian, known as The Voice,
Yeah,
Ivan
boys.
Alexander. And joining our panel today, a former burlesque and local artist, we have Rose
Hey guys,
Holmes.
really excited to be here.
Yay, welcome. It's nice to have another lady.
Yes. Welcome.
Get ready for a bumpy ride, girl.
Thank you so much for joining us, Rose. All right, so let's get started. But before we start our conversation, I just wanted to throw in that we are doing a promotion contest for a chance to win, for you guys to win a free $50 Amazon gift card.
Yay.
Yes, baby, you're gonna be shopping, bitch. Now, if you don't know, an Amazon gift card is good for buying just about anything, whether it's gas, food, you name it. Now just go to our Facebook page at Common Courtesy TV for more details. Okay, so let's start the conversation. Worldwide, harmful alcohol use results in 3 million deaths per year. A 2019 survey done by the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism says that about 85% of adults have drank alcohol at some point in their lifetime. 25% of adults that year said that they had engaged in binge drinking within the past month. About 14 million people in the US suffers from alcohol use disorder, and while that number still rises, less than 10% of those individuals receive treatment. Now, I myself shared on social media about my alcohol use disorder and my sobriety. I kind of want to go to the panel and ask you guys to start a conversation. Do you guys think there is a alcohol use disorder or binge drinking problem in the LGBTQ plus community?
Absolutely.
Anybody can start.
100%. I think there's a lot of reasons for this, but one of the main reasons, and it's talked about in that same study that you mentioned, is that for LGBTQ and queer people, we have very few safe spaces, especially historically speaking. And bars became a safe space. Queer bars became a very safe space to be where you can just be yourself. And when you're in that kind of environment, and anybody who's had any problem with alcohol, and I have myself as well, I'm now sober, but I can talk about that journey at a later date. But what really strikes me is that we've built this community where the only safe space is where drugs and alcohol are usually very prominent. And so how do you separate those? How do you give up your safe space with a environment that's going to tempt you into partaking into everything else that space comes with?
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm sitting here.
That's
I'm
a
sitting here.
great
Those are great points. I mean, me personally, I'm a very sociable person. So Wherever I go, I have no problem having a few drinks. Although, since my quote unquote stroke in 20, what was it? What is this? 2022? So
Yes.
2020, yeah, November of 2020, I had a stroke. And of course, at that point, my doctors were telling me I'm a binge drinker. I said, but how can I be a binge drinker if I do the same thing every weekend? So I didn't consider it to be a binge because I only drank on Sunday and Monday, but I did every Sunday and Monday. So it was recurring. But when they started taking off their shoes to count the number of drinks I had in one day, then we had a problem. So I can understand how that works. And yeah, the whole safety factor and everything else. But everybody's different. So there are reasons and there are excuses. I'm not going to say who's making what up with either way, but yeah, you want to feel comfortable wherever you go. But in the same respect, if it's a safe haven, yes, it feels good to be there, but you don't want the negative parts of what's supposed to be safe, which totally turns the script and makes it an unsafe place to be. So if you have a dry spot to go to and hang out and have a good time, more power to you.
I
Angelique, what
think
was your experience with it?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think it's twofold. I think what I notice and what I know from my personal experience and what I know from the people around me is that most people in LGBTQ situations who go out in the community are looking for a place to let go of all of their pains and all of their issues. A lot of people came from hidden backgrounds and coming into the limelight and having a space where they can just let loose, not knowing how to let loose because they don't know how to be themselves. They fall to drinking or things like that to kind of loosen themselves up. And it becomes a thing that people become dependent on. You depend on the Friday, Saturday release. You depend on the Friday, Saturday drinks. You depend on the Sunday brunch because it is your opportunity to let go of everything without spilling all your beans, without talking about all your emotions. So whether you're having problems at work, with your family, with your spouse, partner, friends, whatever, you fall into this situation where you want to drink. And then there's a problem in the community because when somebody comes in and they don't want to drink, you feel pressure to make them drink, or they feel pressure to drink to help the other person get through whatever they're trying to swallow. And it becomes a huge problem because everybody is really reliant on that moment. And it's no longer just about you, it's about everybody around you. How many times have you heard it? I want everybody to have a good time, so we're all going to do a shot. I want everybody to have a good time, so everybody's going to do a drink. I'm gonna get the first round, or somebody get the first round, and it becomes a thing where you feel obliged to do so, even though it's not a necessity. And so I think it is a big problem because where it came from originally, we used to do house gatherings. You get together at somebody's house, you have a couple drinks. Nobody would get absolutely hammered because you all have to like walk home or get home, and it was a little bit more of like European standard, where at a young age, and it's like kind of open
Yeah.
to you.
Hold on, I'm gonna jump in because I want to chime in on that one part when someone buys a round of shots. I bartend and I always get offered a round of shots. And nowadays, for the past almost 6 months, I had to say, I don't drink and kind of say it in a way it doesn't bring the mood down. I don't really understand. I don't understand the psychology of that a little bit, but I get it sometimes, but. I'm like, I wouldn't spend money on a damn stranger, but when you start drinking, the revelry starts. It's true. But a funny thing that Ivan mentioned, he said he didn't know what binge drinking was. I was looking this up, and I was astonished myself. And what's on the rise is binge drinking and high intensity drinking. And high intensity drinking is when someone drinks 10 to 15 more drinks above the legal limit about let's say in a row about in 2 weeks. So I mean, if you're consuming, like, let's say, even on the weekends, like Ivan said, on Friday and Saturday, you're having like eight drinks and you're over like the legal limits. Like when I got pulled over, I was 2 times over the limit, and I can't even tell you how many. I can tell you how many drinks I have,
You
but
said
not the
8.
amount of alcohol. But I just
No,
want to
no.
jump in on that. But
It goes way beyond 8.
uh, oh yeah. See, that's all I remembered. But before we go, I just want to say we definitely have a problem in our community. Yes, our safe spaces are gay bars. I just kind of want to ask you guys. We have like 2 minutes left. How do we start a conversation? Because I've seen just that at the gay bar the other night. There was a problem with someone who got too drunk. How do we start a conversation about alcohol
Start
use
with
disorder?
yourself. I mean, I
Rose.
think it's it's one thing to be in this argument can be given to almost every problem in our country or the world right now, but if you see an injustice, you see these things happening, and you yourself don't become that voice, you don't become that voice telling your friends, your family members, people you meet at random locations, like, yo, hey, have you thought about this? Like, maybe that's not a great choice. Maybe there's other avenues we can explore together. And you might get looked at like you're crazy, you might get shunned, you might lose friends. I lost most of my friends when I stopped drinking, and it was a big reason why, because I was like, yo, this is, are you taking a closer look at this? And a lot of people feel very attacked when you come at them like that. They think that you're judging their way of life, but you have to start by being that voice, because if you're silent and you're passive and you're just watching this happen around you, then you're part of the problem. And I think in our queer community, it's super important that we do stand up against these injustices. Queer communities are often spoken like this is a safe space, say whatever you want, but oftentimes, when you do come out with these controversial topics in the queer community, you're met with a lot of heat, a lot of resistance. So I think being that voice is the first step.
I took the opportunity to post about how I was feeling about my situation, because I don't really feel like I'm an alcoholic, although alcoholism runs in my family. And I don't really, because I don't need a drink every day. I don't open bottles and drink them all the time. I drink socially. Being a drag queen, we're forced into situations where there's a lot of drinking going on. So it's always a situation. But I've learned that I can say no. But it's kind of like there's this thing where I'm like, I don't really want to quit drinking because I don't feel like it's a problem. But I do know that I can overdo it at times. So I ask just in general for people to like be patient with me and kind of understanding. And the outpour I received on that post was insane. So many people who have quit drinking, who have found a happy balance between it, who have found out that they felt the same exact way and had known. So starting that conversation open, people were in my inbox. It became a really wide-eyed thing. And somebody who inspired me to quit drinking was Sean. Watching him and talking to him, we did a whole thing on depression and drinking, and just that kind of conversation. Each conversation led to a new one that helped me get to the next space I needed to be. So I completely agree with you 100%. Having that conversation, just opening your mouth and saying, hey, I'm going through this, you find a lot of other people resonate with that.
And with that, I'm just gonna take a break and we'll continue this conversation, because alcoholism, like I said, we just said it is a big, not a big problem, but it is prevalent in our community. We'll be right back. Follow our podcast page, Comic Jersey TV, here on Facebook and YouTube for more conversations on love, sex, relationships, and commentary on the latest trending news. And listen to us on multiple podcast platforms via comicjerseytv.buzzsprout.com. Here we go. Fallout continues over the Supreme Court opinion to overturn Roe v. Wade as AOC, aka Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and California Congressman Ted Lieu called on the U.S. Senate to find that conservative Supreme Court justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh had lied under oath during their confirmation hearings. In a letter shared to Twitter on Monday, stating, "We cannot have a system where justices just lie about their views in order to get confirmed." Now, at the time, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh both said during their Senate confirmation hearings that they viewed Roe v. Wade as a settled precedent. All right, let me ask the panel. Since these two gentlemen, these justices, they sided with the majority opinion that overturned Roe v. Wade, can we now say that they perjured themselves? Let's start with Ivan.
That's going to be really kind of hard to say. I mean, yes, if their original platform was that they believe Roe versus Wade should stay, and they were hard fast to that, and then somehow something actually literally changed their mind, you're going to be hard pressed to say that they lied to get to where they are. It's still kind of grayish, and all fingers would point to the fact that yes, you did lie to get on there and overturn it, but you're going to be really hard to have that unless there was something in writing somewhere, or they, everything was premeditated, or you have someone to really physically prove it. It's going to really, really hard to do. Unfortunately, if they did lie, it sucks. They should be prosecuted just like anybody else who lies under oath, the whole 9 yards. I can't say in this day and age you shoot them, settlement, but they should be dealt with, because this took 50 years of history and just blew it out of the water, which is ridiculous. And as far as I'll say it again, whatever, no man has the right to tell a woman what she can do with her body, point blank.
Okay.
And on that note,
Rose.
I'm dropping the mic.
Dropped. No, this is a difficult conversation to have because this isn't just one topic, right? You can't talk about the corruption happening right now in our current system without talking about all of the other corruption that's been happening over these last several years. And really decades if you go back into the 80s when things started getting bananas. That's a different conversation. For these particular justices, I think the danger here, and Ivan, I think you bring up a good point with, minds can change, and how are we going to really hold them to that if they can prove that they were just their difference of opinion at this point. The danger here, in my opinion, is that if this doesn't go answered, if this just is allowed to happen and there's no repercussions, that opens the door for all their corruption to just be slid under the rug. Roe versus Wade was such a big overturn that I know they're already talking about gay rights being overturned. They're already talking about contraception and like birth control, which I have a medical disease that I have to have birth control. And if I don't have it, it makes me really, really sick. And judging on they're not feeling very lenient on abortion rules, I can't imagine they're going to give me any leeway with the contraception. So I think this is a really important topic that needs to be prosecuted in some manner or looked at, because if it's not, it's just going to open the doors for more and more things like this to happen.
I think they have to choose their poison. You can't overturn something like Roe versus Wade, which strips people of the privacy of what they do in the bedroom. You can't ask me to open my blinds so that you can see my truth, and then you spit lies. It's literally a straight discrepancy. Like, you can't do it. Like, so if you're gonna sit here and you're gonna say you vote for something and you stand by something, stand your ground. Don't be swayed by the other people around you. Don't be swayed by the other decisions going on. If you truly felt that way from the beginning, you should have. Any other thing that you say now is just you playing sides or playing for your own thing, for your own safety. You're covering your own ass, in which case you should not be in the seat you're in, because it's your job to protect the people and to help the people of this place. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. I think, to me, okay, if you read the opinion that Samuel Alito wrote, because like I said, she said that they lied during the confirmation hearings. They both stated that. I remember watching Brett Kavanaugh, because I remember the whole thing about um, with Dr. Ford. They did ask him straight up, how do you feel about Roe v. Wade? He said that was a settled legal precedent. And then in this opinion that he wrote, they said that they all agreed that it was egregiously wrong from the start. Now, if you're saying that in the opinion, that meant that when your ass was sitting there, I mean, you said it from the start. So from the start was like 70 something, and now it's 2020, bitch. Come on now. And even Trump said blatantly that he's going to get people that is going to overturn Roe v. Wade. But I love AOC because she's so smart, because the law is all about wording, right? It's literally just about wording and the evidence. And the fact that she called that out and said that, well, especially in this opinion, if you said it was egregiously wrong from the start, then when you were sitting there being confirmed and they asked you that question, you lied and you perjured yourself. So I want to just go a little bit further. We got 4 minutes. Should we, if they are found to have lied during these confirmation hearings, should they start impeachment trials? AOC also brought that up. I'm gonna go to Rose.
Yes, and again, that just goes back to what I just said, is we can't acknowledge there's been an injustice. We can't acknowledge that perjury has happened and then go, oh, well, guess we'll just, knock them on the knuckles and don't do it again. Like, it's nothing, because the second we do that, that's exactly what's going to continue to happen. The next time perjury happens, oh, well, he got off with it, so why are you coming at me with it? And so our entire government is just a knot of corruption and greed and buy-offs, in my humble opinion. And we have to start somewhere. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a got you moment. I'm hoping this is where we're going to actually be able to hold them accountable for their actions. Because if we can do it once, if we can prove that they can make mistakes like this once and hold them accountable, it paves the road for us holding everyone else accountable in the future.
how many times he was actually put on trial now, Kavanaugh? How many times has he sat in a hot seat?
No, I don't
How many
know.
times? He's been on trial for different things, not necessarily himself on trial, but he's had to sit in a hot seat. Brett Kavanaugh, how many times has he had to sit in a hot seat? At this point, no, you have to, if nothing else, if no one goes down, he has to go down for that. You are now not only have you been caught in lie after lie after lie, not only have you been caught several times being on the wrong side of the fence, you are truly you're taking back your word. You're lying on the precipice of what got you into this space in the first place. No more rugs to be pulled. You're done.
And it's so
It
privileged.
needs to be
They're the ones with the law degree. They know better than that.
Well, it's also the highest court too. If that's the highest court in the land, get rid of these two idiots, impeach them, make sure they never they can't even practice law anymore. Okay, get rid of them. Then overturn the overturning of the Roe versus Wade. Get two more people in there that really are legit, and say, you know what, let it go, leave it alone, it's done. But if you get caught lying, you're busted. Prosecute them. They're no better than anybody else.
Absolutely. And just really fast, I mean, I agree with what they said. I don't have a problem with justice having their personal views, but there's a separation between church and state, and a lot of them are they're conservative. They're using religion to create laws and create laws based on how they feel it should be. I mean, you're gonna say it's egregiously wrong from the start. It sounds like you felt like this a very long time. Um,
Way
Justice
beforehand.
Alito, and it's crazy how fast they get laws put into. Because remember when they were out there protesting, I heard Brett Kavanaugh got protested out of Morton's Diner in New York City. I'm glad, I mean, or Washington, whatever that was. But this is just something that needs to be handled. I think they should definitely be impeached because, just like Rose said, once we start holding people accountable, no one's going to start doing this shit again. We're going to have an actual better country. I mean, for a more perfect using, just like the Constitution said. But we ran out of time for this topic. I wanted to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank all my co-hosts for coming through, and also Rose for joining us and for adding her awesome opinions this episode. And hopefully, we got some great episodes coming up. So we have some fun shit coming up. Like I said, we have that contest. And again, like I always say, until next time, always try to have a little bit more common courtesy. Thanks, guys. Follow our podcast page, Common Courtesy TV, here on Facebook and YouTube for more conversations on love, sex, relationships, and commentary on the latest trending news. And listen to us on multiple podcast platforms via commoncourtesytv.buzzsprout.com.